Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Yeah, good morning. It is Tuesday, October 16th, and you are listening to the Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. I am one of your gracious co-hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And the man on the other end of the microphone, that would be the great patriot himself. That would be our man.
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this Tuesday morning, as we do every weekday morning from 6 to 7, and then we replay it at 11, and we do it again the next morning after that. Loudbeard, it was a day to remember, or an night to remember for the state of Wisconsin last night. What a dramatic finish to the baseball game, and what a dramatic finish to the football game. Milwaukee holds off a bases-loaded situation in the bottom of the ninth to win it with a strikeout, and then the Crosby, the guy who missed not one, not two, but 4 field goals and 1 extra point, comes back to give a game-winning field goal. What did you think of last night, Loudbeard?
Wisconsin is for lovers. That's all I got to say. There was some baby making going on last night after all that success. There are some guys celebrating, and that's what's going on in Wisconsin. Great games, both on the baseball side and on the football side. I loved it, and I loved how you channeled your inner LeBron when you were like, not 3 championships, not 4 championships, not 5 championships. You were like, Mason Crosby didn't miss 1 kick. He didn't miss 2 kicks. He didn't miss 3 kicks. He didn't miss 4 kicks. He missed 5 kicks last week, and he comes back. The Packers don't fire him like most teams would fire their kicker. They stick with their guy, the guy Mason Crosby that's been there for several years, doing good work, had 1 bad game, and you know what? Aaron Rodgers supported him, the team supported him, and he comes back, and he shows them what he can do, and that's win a game on his foot. So between the greatness of Aaron Rodgers and the clutchness of Mason Crosby, that was a good game for a Packers fan last night.
Yeah, Loudbeard, this is why you're in my top 2 favoriteest co-hosts that I work with. You always pick up what I put down.
I'm always picking up what you're putting down. And you know what? Brewers fans, same thing. Your team is named after one of the coolest things ever, and that's brewing beer. And
no,
you're
named
really
after
good.
Jim Brewer. We already went over this.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Who's a
Jim
cool
Brewer.
comedian?
Well, Half-Baked is one of my favorite movies. It's probably in my top 10 of stoner movies. Though I think I've only seen maybe 10 stoner movies. So it definitely is in my top 10 of stoner movies. Yeah, so great night in sports. Tons of just random news going on out there, too. Good news, bad news, indifference news. Seahawks owner passes away yesterday. You hate to see that. He also co-founded Microsoft and was the Blazers owner. So that guy had a little bit of success in his life.
Yep.
What else happened?
Coors Light founder passed away as well. So you gotta drink a Coors Light tonight. Yeah, I mean I wasn't going to, but then you start bringing up deaths. I'm like, well, we can't bring up the Seahawks owner without bringing up the man who brought us the crisp, cool waters of the Rockies.
Yeah. Oh boy. So you really killed the tone. I can't.
All right, let's bring it back. Let's
all right,
bring
let's
it back
talk about
here.
something a little bit more positive. Mike Smith gets fired from the Bucks.
What are you doing? More? No. All right, I'm going to bring back the positive.
I stubbed my toe yesterday.
That's the worst. The only thing worse than stubbing your toe is banging your shin. That's a fact.
I'm going down the rabbit hole of just depression right now.
Of just depression and despair. Well, I'm going to bring it back, Loudbeard, because there could have been more depression and despair for 2 guys. You mentioned Crosby, but also closing pitcher I don't remember his first name, but it was Jeffers for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's had a terrible, terrible postseason. Great regular season, but then it tapped into his inner David Price and has been falling apart. And it seemed like last night he was doing the same as he loaded up the bases, but then the manager who stuck with him, even though he went to the phone to say, hey, is anybody ready in the bullpen? Is anybody ready in the bullpen? But with bases loaded, he was electric and struck out. I think he struck out 2 batters. I can't remember because a lot happened last night. It's hard for me to keep track, but he had a great game, great finish. Man, I think a lot of Milwaukee fans lost about 3 months of their life because of last night's game.
It ended up being a great finish. I mean, Dodgers don't score any, so you look at the score 4-0. You're thinking, oh, Brewers handled this game.
Blowout.
But no. Dodgers had this in hand, and some of the controversy coming out of this late game heroics that Jeffress was doing. One of them is bases are loaded with 1 out, and Yasmani Grandal comes up. Now, he has been struggling the whole series. He is the catcher for the Dodgers, and this is the wrong guy to be coming up at this time because he has been just playing awful. He ends up striking out one of his 3 strikeouts, and he had let a few balls by him as the catcher. The fans in L.A. straight up start booing this guy. Like, we're done with you. You're ruining our chances to make this series. And they are booing him. And, you know, some of the players, especially Kiki Hernandez, comes out, and after the game, he absolutely rips the fans. He says, you come out here, you have low energy, and then you're booing our guys. We don't need that. That isn't going to help us. We need support from our fans. We need you out here on our home field to come out and support us. And I appreciate Kiki coming out and saying that to the fans. But when you're a professional baseball player like Grandal, you have to come up and you have to be clutch. I'm sorry. It's like the David Prices and the Jeffress. You have to perform. And this is the biggest part of the season where performance is the most important part. And if you're not performing, you need to be done. So the Dodgers, it looks like they're going to probably bench Yasmani after this performance, and it's well-deserved. You can't have 3 strikeouts, have errors on the field, and not be clutch when your team needs you. When the bases are loaded with 1 out and you are down 4-0, you better get a hit. You better get contact on the ball. You better not strike out. And that's what he did. He struck out. The fans just ripped him, and afterwards Kiki Hernandez ripped the fans. This is not looking good for the Dodgers. All the momentum now is swung in the favor of the Brewers. The Brewers look like they are ready to take this series. The Dodgers really, they got to look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, we can't hang our heads. We got to get back in this. But if the fans aren't supporting them and there's controversy and they're just, the interviews afterwards are just so negative, I'm not seeing a whole lot of light here for the Dodgers. It looks like the Brewers are going to be the winner of this series. What do you think, Chris America?
Well, another person that didn't come up big, that shrunk in the moment, was Bellinger. He had a guy on third and second when he came up to bat. The bases weren't loaded just yet, and he just does a pop-up. I think it was a 1 or 2 pitch pop-up, to shallow outfield. Didn't move anybody, and that's one of your stars. That's one of the guys that you look forward to coming up to bat, especially in the bottom of the 9th. You see guys on second and third. You want Bellinger up to bat, and he kind of shrunk in the moment. He didn't get it done last night. He wore the collar. He was 0 for 4. Not a good look for your star.
Yeah, and Bellinger's kind of a weird story because last year we were touting him like the next coming of Babe Ruth or the next coming of, I don't know, whatever great star you want to insert into that. And this year he was kind of just an average player, above average player. He's still a good player, but he wasn't exactly what we were touting him from last year. And then now, like you said, when you want to be a big-time player, your name is out there in the headlines, and you are a highlight reel, you have to show up in the big moments. And Bellinger, you're right, is another guy that you got to look at yourself and say, if I can't step up, my team is going to lose. So he's going to be sitting there, and he's got to reflect on this game, and he better come out with some passion, some fire, and really just dig in and try to make a difference in this next game. and hope that he gives his team a chance. And that's what we need out of these players. And right now, man, these LA players, they just don't seem like they've got it.
Yeah, and I think he bailed out Jeffers with that pop-up. You got him out really easily. You only had to throw 1 or 2 pitches, and I think sometimes with athletes, if they start failing at something, they need to see themselves succeed again before they can kind of really, get their mojo back. Like if you're a kicker, if you see nothing but misses, it's really hard to see yourself making it and gain that confidence again until you watch another kick get in. And sometimes I believe that with pitchers too. If you get base hit after base hit or a home run, luckily they didn't get any home runs during this stretch, but I feel like Jeffers just needed to see an out. He needed to see that he still has this stuff, that he's still this guy that can dominate, and he got that quick out. Now, he did walk another batter after that, but other than that, he was lights out after that Bellinger 2-pitch pop-up. Bellinger bailed out Jeffers last night a little bit, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, you end the game with 2 strikeouts back-to-back when you have bases loaded. You know then that you've just ruined your opportunity. And you're right, Bellinger, with that pop-up, he didn't help his team out at all. And, at that point, especially if you got a man on third, I mean, if you hit the ball, if you get it far enough, deep enough, he can tag up and get into, and you can score 1 run. Even if it's a sacrifice fly, you're doing something good for your team. Just doing a measly little pop-up, that's not doing anything for anybody. You're a professional athlete. Get something on the ball. Put the ball in play. Give your players a chance. Come on, man.
Yeah, if you're going to get the out, at least make it a productive out where it's a 10 to 12 pitch out also. You want to wear that pitcher down for the rest of your team so they can come out and take advantage of that. But that didn't happen, and the Brewers jump up to 2-1. And it's kind of the thing that I like about baseball. You mentioned it earlier. You look at the box score and you see 4-0, and you think, oh, wow, that's over. It's really the only sport where you can be up big, and in the 9th inning, you still are nervous. You're still worried. Like, if I'm up 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, I'm not really worried that much. I'm sitting back enjoying a nice Coors Light, drinking one down for my man over there in heaven. But in baseball, no, like especially if you see 2 guys on base, then you really got to start getting nervous about what's going on. If you have 2 on base and no to 1 outs, you're starting to freak out a little bit. But exciting baseball game. I look forward to tonight's game. I believe it's the Astros and the Red Sox play tonight, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I have to double check the schedule,
but
I'm going to roll with it.
I'm used to the NBA where there's like 15 days off in between, games 2 and games 3. So I'm pretty sure the Red Sox and the Astros play.
Yeah, and you're right. With the NBA, you sit there and you think, actually tonight, I'm double checking the schedule. It is the Astros and Red Sox. We've got that as the early game, but Brewers and Dodgers come back. So you've got the back-to-back games tonight, and that's one thing about Major League Baseball. They're not afraid of in playoffs to do back-to-backs.
Especially
NBA
in the
will not do
series.
Oh, absolutely. They love it. This, to me, is great because it gives you baseball. If you're a big fan of the sport, or even if you're a casual fan, you can get into it because it's constant. You're not having to wait 2-3 games in between. You're ready to go. And these rivalries are getting heated up. These games are good. Right now, the Red Sox and Astros are still 1-1. So we're going to see who's going to take the lead in that series. And I guess we get to see tonight, will the Dodgers bounce back from this loss? Are they able to battle through it, come back tonight, even up the series, and make this an interesting series as it comes to conclusion? I mean, I don't know, man. This could get kind of interesting as we get down the stretch here. And I'm excited about watching some baseball. And it's good when it's good baseball. There hasn't been a whole lot of bad games. The first game, Red Sox-Astros, that was a little bit of a blowout. But otherwise, these have been pretty intriguing games, great storylines, even matchups. There hasn't been an uneven where you thought one team was way better than the other. These teams are all pretty evenly matched. They all have a great pitching staffs. I'm just excited to see some more baseball. And tonight's going to be another great night. And I talked about this every week, and I'm going to keep talking about it. Tuesday nights always feels weird because you go through football. You've got football on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, all with college and professional football. You get to Tuesday night, and there seems like a void. And the Milwaukee Brewers and L.A. Dodgers and Boston Red Sox and Houston Astros, they are filling my sports void tonight, and I'm ready for it, Chris America.
Yes, they're going to fill that sports void for us and everything.
And spill it.
I cannot
and
wait.
Fill it.
Spill it, overflow it, all that good stuff. We were overflowed with great football last night. Loudbeard, sometimes we get to listen to ourselves before we start this show. I think they play a replay from 5 to 6 from yesterday's show. And I had to get an idiot sandwich on this one. I listened to myself at the end of the show. I said that this game was going to be awful, that San Francisco had nothing for the Packers, and I could not be further from the truth or further from what happened. I could not be more wrong. Big fat idiot sandwich that I have to choke down this morning listening to that. And the Niners, I don't know which is which. I don't know if the 49ers are just doing a lot better in spite of their starting quarterback being out and a laundry list of players that are injured, or are the Packers just kind of a okay team to bad team? Which is it, Loudbeard? What did we see last night? How did a 1-5 San Francisco 49ers just utterly take Green Bay to the very last second?
Well, the Green Bay Packers now, after winning last night, are 3-2-1. They were 2-2-1. They're not a super team where they're 5-0 or 6-0. This is just an above average team. And it's not that they're just above average. They're really a below average team with a superstar quarterback. And as you saw last night, when you have a guy of the top echelon of quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers, anything is possible. The Packers were down. When you are down with a minute left or 2 minutes left and you hand the ball to your guy and you expect him to make something happen, I would say 75 to 80% of teams in the league get nervous. Maybe even 90%. But there are a couple teams that do not get nervous. The Green Bay Packers, they live for that situation. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, we're giving you a moment where we're going to hand you the ball and you can come back and win. All right, we got this in the bag. It's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the same thing. Oh, we're going to come back and win. Tom Brady hands you the ball. They're actually more confident in those situations because these players are made for this. Because of Aaron Rodgers, the Packers always have a chance in any game, no matter what the circumstance. And last night, he showed it again. He showed that he is one of the most clutch comeback type players there is in the NFL. And he made some beautiful passes to drive down the field and make something happen last night. And I would say that the Packers are lucky to have Aaron Rodgers because without him, they are the Raiders. That's all there is to it. That is how bad the Packers would be without Aaron Rodgers. They are just a very, very just below average team with one really, really great player that has brought them to where they're at. So I'm not surprised that they came back. But on the flip side, the 49ers are not as bad as we're giving them credit for. One, yes, they lost their starting quarterback. Two, last year was kind of weird because they started out really bad, and then they kind of turned it around and won a bunch of games towards the end of the season. So this season, what do you think about this team? Well, I think that they're a decent team that's on the up and up. They have to learn how to win games. They've been in a lot of games late that they just haven't been able to win, where Aaron Rodgers knows how to win those games. The 49ers haven't figured out how to win those games, kind of like the Cleveland Browns. You've seen them in tight games late, and you don't know if they're going to win it or not. That's how the 49ers are. They're not winning the games that they should be winning when they have leads late in these games, so they don't know how to finish games off. But I loved what I saw. Marquise Goodwin, this guy is a bona fide superstar. I loved him last year. He started out real slow this year, had a couple injuries. He bounces back off of injury and just has an electric game. He only has 4 receptions, but he turns those 4 receptions into over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the lightning in the bottle that the 49ers need to spark their offense. They lose their starting running back early in the season, I think in preseason, and now they have other guys that are stepping up. So the 49ers are a good team. They have some deficiencies on defense, letting in a lot of points. That's probably going to come back to bite them. That's why their record's so bad. But I was impressed with what I saw out of San Francisco. So, yes, the Packers aren't that great, and no, the 49ers aren't that bad. That's my answer for you, Chris America.
All right, sounds good. I will say the 49ers are impressive. However you want to evaluate Green Bay, the 49ers are a lot better than what their record shows. They're probably the best 1-5 team in the league right now, and it would be a 1-5 team I wouldn't want my team playing, because that could equal a fast L really quick. And C.J. Beathard, I'm not going to say he's your starter or that there's a quarterback controversy, but he's definitely the most solid backup quarterback in the league right now. He, when you compare stats between him and Rodgers, he had far better completion percentage, a 1 yard better average per attempt, and he had a better quarterback rating. The only difference is that Rodgers threw the ball 46 times for 425 yards, and Rodgers knows what to do when he's in that end-of-game situations. Before Rodgers started his comeback, C.J. Beathard was driving down the field. They got, I believe, to the 50 or just beyond the 50-yard line, and they kind of sputtered, and then the Packers did an all-out zero coverage blitz. The wide receiver didn't get open enough from his man, and Beathard just kind of being inexperienced, having that greatness gene that you talked about that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers has, just kind of threw it up there for grabs, and they intercepted it. Now, one thing that kind of got brushed over and ignored was that Aaron Rodgers took a sack, I believe, on third or second down, and it was like third or fourth down in like 20. They had like a lot of yards to go, and an uncharacteristic penalty was on Sherman with an illegal contact downfield. I thought it was a little bit of a ticky-tack penalty to begin with. They just kind of barely bumped into each other. What's his name? Sherman gave the receiver a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a push downfield, and they threw the flag on it while Aaron Rodgers is getting sacked. And I don't know how you feel about it. I don't want to take away anything that Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers did, but I hate seeing teams bailed out by referees, and I hate seeing when it's 3rd and 20 or 4th and 20 and it's a 5-yard penalty that it's an automatic first down. If you're not going to award 10 to 15 yards, there should be no automatic first down on a penalty, I don't think.
I don't ever want to see the refs dictate the game. I don't want to see it where because of a penalty that half the time gets called, the other half the time doesn't. It's inconsistent. It's like holding. You could find a holding play on every NFL play. Every play you could say somebody's holding somebody, but it's only the ones that are more egregious that you're supposed to call. Same thing with this contact. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of, okay, yeah, we're 3rd and 20. Oh, you got a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. No. It should be 3rd and 15. Why are we automatic first downing it?
For an illegal contact penalty.
Right.
And
that's terrible.
To me, when you're in those situations, I think a referee needs to make a judgment call. Like you mentioned, there's holding on every play. But if there's holding on the left tackle, on one hash mark, and the quarterback is all the way on the other side of the field working the ball, you don't call that because you know that it's not going to affect the play. You know that the player, whether he got held or not, isn't going to magically sprint to the other side of the field and sack the quarterback. Just like with this illegal contact. That illegal contact did nothing to cause the receiver not to get open, and it didn't do anything to cause Aaron Rodgers to get sacked. So it had no effect on the play, and you're throwing the flag. Again, I don't want to take away anything, but I hate that the referee took away from the 49ers a little bit. They bailed out Aaron Rodgers in that early going of that drive. Now, after that, after they got helped out, Aaron Rodgers took over, and he was electric. And he might have been able to pick up that first down after that sack. I don't know, but yeah, I hate it when it's a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. If it's that egregious that you're going to give an automatic first down, at least award a total of a traditional first down, 10 yards.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers does not need any help. Like, you do not need to give him any extra advantage. You know he's going to come back, and he's going to be great no matter what. I mean, some of those sideline passes on that last final drive, just masterful. Like, you can't even, write a script that is that good on how good Aaron Rodgers played. And I look back at that and I say, this is why we think Aaron Rodgers is so great. There are so many moments where I see that guy play, and I'm like, man, he's an average quarterback right now. Like, he just played 2 quarters, and he just looked like average. And then all of a sudden he comes back in the 3rd or 4th quarter, and he looks like he's the greatest quarterback ever to play on the field, and you say, I completely forgot about the first 3 quarters because of the 4th quarter. Like, I don't even care how he played in the first 3 quarters because he played so good in the 4th quarter when we needed him. I know that Aaron Rodgers is great, and that's usually how he plays. It's amazing to me, but I would rather have a quarterback that played good in 3 quarters and great in the last quarter instead of the opposite. And there are so many quarterbacks out there that'll start out really hot and then just not be able to close games, and that's what you run into. And Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are the exact opposite, and I love watching these guys play. It makes it so much fun. And like you said, we predicted, and I kind of went along with you, so I have to give myself a little idiot sandwich also. But we predicted that this would be a bad game, and it was not. This was a great game. I love when the Thursday night football game and the Monday night football games are good. And this Monday night football game, I mean, it lived up to its billing, and hey, gotta love it, man. Got to love it. And by the way,
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Yeah, you are. You know it.
And I gotta say, I'm impressed with your boy Shannon over there, or Shanahan. Your former Redskin coaches are really, really good. Just gonna throw that out there.
That hurts, but I like it. It's a great take. Yeah, Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, and Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the 49ers. These guys were both on the coaching staffs of the Washington Redskins, and I would take either of these coaches in a heartbeat if they ended up parting ways with Jay Gruden. Not that, these guys are looking to jump ship. I'm pretty sure that McVay is going to stay with the Rams for a very long time because he's got a ton of talent. He's seeing success. He doesn't need to jump ship. But, boy, it does sting a little bit thinking, man, we had that guy. We had these great coaches on our staff, and they've all gone on to really great things. Shanahan, he was part of that Atlanta Falcons team that took the Patriots to the end and barely lost the Super Bowl. I mean, I hate to bring that up for Falcons fans. You mentioned about being 1-5, the 49ers. So I'm just going to throw these teams out to you. These are all the one-win teams left in the NFL. And you tell me, do you think that the 49ers are the best one-win team if I throw these out? So I'm going to give it to you right now. It's the Indianapolis Colts, the Oakland Raiders, the New York Giants, the Arizona Cardinals, and the San Francisco 49ers. Would you say that the 49ers are the best of that class?
Yeah, without a doubt. They're definitely the most complete team. Now, there's other players on other teams. Like, the Indianapolis Colts have the best quarterback out of all of those teams you just mentioned. But without any other help around him, the Colts are just kind of needing Andrew Luck to just do it all. And he just can't. He's not able to do that. There's not many quarterbacks that are able to do that. You got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers could probably win with that team, but that's about it. And then some of the other teams you threw out there, the Giants. Giants have the best wide receiver, probably the best new running back out of all of those. And again, they just don't have anything else around them, surrounding them to do it. Now, I think, if the Niners, the Giants, and the Colts played each other, I could see either of those teams beating each other up. I'm not going to sit there and say, San Francisco would run away with it. But overall, I think just a complete team between all of those teams that you mentioned has to be the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm with you. Colts are in that conversation. I do think the Colts have had some opportunities to win some of these games. They haven't been able to do it, but it's sitting there at one-win teams. You got the 49ers, you got the Colts, and then the rest of them, you can't have any confidence there. You got the Raiders. Well, you know what? With the Raiders, I'm going to go ahead and do this lead into our commercial because we're going to be back in just a few minutes after a couple messages. But when we come back, we're going to find out who has the worst contract, Bobby Bonilla or John Gruden. I don't know, Chris America. What do you think?
Did you know 40 points on your credit score
could cost you $40,000 on a mortgage? Thankfully, Lexington Law is here to help. Since 1991, Lexington Law has helped over 500,000 customers take action on their credit reports. Call 877-910-7472 to talk to a repair specialist now. Personalized credit consultation is free. Getting access to your report is free, plus free score evaluation with a recommended solution. Call now and get on the path to recovery. Call Lexington Law at 877-910-7472. That's 877-910-7472.
Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
All right, welcome back, and thank you for listening in. You are listening to the Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. He's Chris America. I'm Loudbeard. We're here each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., and we replay again at 11 a.m. on the greatest radio station on all of the interweb, known as 12ouncesportsradio.com. A great lineup today on the show or on the radio station. Make sure you check out some of the other great shows out there. There are so many. Sometimes it's hard to name all of them, but I do know that we've got Clutch Talk Sports on at 8 a.m. We've got Memphis Spence and our affiliate over at Sports Radio America with College Credit Hour on at noon. And also, Chris America, I don't know if you heard this, but our good friend Jimmy Young, he has been on our show a couple times, and he puts on a great show with What's Up Sports. He came out with a big announcement. He's going to a daily show format. I'm going to have to get some of the details. I don't have them in front of me right now, but seeing some of the great talent here at 12 Ounce Sports Radio expanding their horizons, moving to daily formats. We're just getting better and better each and every day, man. I love to see all of that. What do you think? No, he's not back yet.
No, I'm there. I just didn't turn the mic back on. Well, the
classic.
We've conquered the day as 12 Ounce Sports Radio, so now we need to conquer the night. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the show is like 12 to 2 or 1 to 3. Because I had to really look at it real fast because I was like, wait a minute, isn't Memphis Spence on at that time? And then I was like, oh, it says AM. And I was like, oh, okay, he's going to do an AM show. And we need that. We need the night shift people. They need sports talk radio too. In some areas of the country, you don't get much good sports talk radio at 12 a.m. and 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. And I used to work the night shift. I've done that graveyard shift before, and radio is garbage. So I'm glad to see that, you know, our guys over there at What's Up Sports, they're doing the Lord's work and helping out those on the graveyard shift to have some good sports talk to listen to.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love to see that. And for all of our listeners out there, once again, we're Scout Team Sports. If you like what you're here, if you want to catch any of our old episodes, you can hit it up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or on our website, scoutteamradio.com. And we are coming live every weekday at 6 a.m. and at 11 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. Just keep listening in. We love you guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the support. And part of that support is us getting social. So right now, we like to throw out Twitter polls left and right. We like to be social on Twitter at Scout Team Radio, on Facebook, on Instagram at Scout Team Radio. So if you want to get social social with us. Make sure you check us out. But Chris America, man, you put up a great poll last night helping the Scout Team Twitter account out, and I loved it. I love some of the feedback we were getting from it, and it was who's got the best contract, or the worst contract, I should say, right? Not best. It's best if you are in Loserville, but the worst contract would it be Bobby Bonilla with the Mets, or would it be John Gruden with the Raiders? Chris America, how's the poll looking for you, man?
Well, this is why I kind of had a hard time writing out the question, because if you're Bobby Bonilla and John Gruden, neither of these contracts are the worst. You're thinking, this is the best contract for me. This is a great contract. I get to be Bobby Bonilla, where I get like $1 million to $2 million every single July. And if you're John Gruden, you're like, man, I get $10 million a year guaranteed for 10 years to be trash. This is great. But I think the fans, for the most part, picked up what I was looking for. They picked up like what I'm putting down. And without a doubt, 72% think John Gruden's trash. And this isn't one of our typical, not typical. We get a lot of votes on other polls, but sometimes we throw out some duds and we get like 20 votes, and that's it. But this one, man, it took off 1,500 votes, and 72% of that 1,500 believe that John Gruden has the worst contract. And we didn't just get votes. We got a lot of replies on this one. People felt really strongly about this. And one of the things that at Frank Oswald 3, he said at least Bonilla isn't selling off all of the Mets while getting paid. That's a good point.
Yeah, that hurts, because all of the Raiders fans right now, they're looking at how well Khalil Mack is doing in Chicago, and they're shaking their heads. And now the rumor is that Amari Cooper is up on the trade block. He's trying to get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. So they're sitting back thinking, okay, all of our big names, all of our stars, you're just letting them all walk away. You're trying to trade them. You're trying to get rid of them. And right now, I think some fans are really getting frustrated with John Gruden. So at least Bobby Bonilla is not doing anything bad to his team while he's getting paid.
Yep. We have another guy, the Sports Nerd Crossword. He says, when I buy a lottery ticket, I always opt for the Bonilla payout. That's a good call there.
That's a good insight. I do the same thing. Like, if I were to win, I guess I'll ask you this question. If you were to win the lottery, would you go for the lump sum, or would you do that where they can pay it out over 20 years and you get a check every month? Which one would you go for?
I think I'd have to do the 20 years. Part of me would want the lump sum just to get it over with, but I'd also like having that security that if I blow whatever I have in the first year, I got more coming.
Oh, I'm 100% with you, man. I work in the financial sector, so I see what people do with their money, and I know how ridiculous and unresponsible people are. I don't want to be one of those people that I sit there and try to help, so I have to sit there and say to myself, I'm going to do the 20 years no matter what. I've had this conversation with my parents, and they've told me, oh, we would take the lump sum. I've had it with other people. Oh, I would take the lump sum. You can do so much with it. Yeah, most lottery winners by 5 years are completely broke. And that is a actual fact. I think it's like 93% of lotto winners after 5 years are dead broke, because people don't know how to handle money. When you have that much money, taxes change, maintenance on big-ass houses and maintenance on big boats and maintenance on all that stuff. You do not realize how expensive everything is, and you don't invest it properly, you go broke. So I'm with you. I like the Bobby Bonilla way of playing the lotto.
Yeah, if you won like a $500, $600 million payout, and you did the 20-year deferment, and let's say you get, I don't know, just working numbers here, $3 million a year, you could spend 5 years just blowing that $3 million each year and still going to work and everything, but you're just blowing $3 million every year. After 5 years, you'd kind of get bored with it, and then you'd start doing the smart thing, all the smart stuff that you just talked about, and you're able to do that. Your 5 years is up, and you're like, okay, I just blew $15 million, but I still have, $600 million coming to me, where if you blow $600 million in 5 years, you're done. That's it. It's over. All right. I got one more, a few more here. Anyone saying Gruden is an idiot. Bobby Bonilla turned $5.9 million into $29.8 million by deferring it and not working. He was not with the Mets when he got deferred the money. It equals to getting fired from a job, waiting 10 years, and they start paying you again for 20 years. So that's a pretty good take.
Yeah, it's a hot take. I like
And then this was my favorite one. Anything involving Gruden is worse. He'd be Chip Kelly if Chip Kelly wasn't a thing.
He'd be worse than Chip Kelly if somebody could be worse than Chip Kelly. Good point.
I think this is worse because at least nobody gave Chip Kelly a 10-year, $100 million deal.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting paid nearly that in UCLA. So yeah, I agree. Could be worse.
And we kind of saw 2 10-year contracts, one in the NFL and one in Texas A&M. I judged both of them, but at least Texas A&M has one season where they can say, all right, we feel good about the next 10 years or the next 9 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a good job. I mean, A&M just needed hope, and he's providing hope, and at least his contract wasn't nearly as bad as Gruden's.
No, I mean, it's $25 million less. So there's that. And like I said, if you're a Raiders fan right now, I don't know how you feel confident about knowing that John Gruden is your coach for the next 10 years. Whereas if you're an A&M fan, you definitely have a lot to hang your hat on. You can definitely believe that the next 9 years is going to be nothing but championships. So that was also so it was a good response. We appreciate all the fans. Like Loudbeard said, you can get us at Scout Team Radio. I'm at Chris Scout Team. Loudbeard is at Loudbeard. And the Golden Ghost, whenever he decides to haunt us, he's at Max Scout Team.
That's MACK. Chris America, I've been telling you this for years now, and I think probably 10, 15 years, and that's you should change your Twitter handle to at Chris America. Do you think somebody's already got an at Chris America? Have you looked into this?
I have not looked into it. I keep thinking about it, but I still like the branding of knowing where I'm from. I don't want to just be Chris America. I want to build up the show. I don't want to seem like a diva. I don't want to be the wide receiver of the show all the time. So I'll let you be the wide receiver on Twitter.
I think we should make it
Twitter.
at Chris Lyman High School.
At Chris Lyman. Go Greyhounds.
All
right.
One more
NBA
topic
season.
you brought up, man.
Which one?
I don't know. Which one?
Okay, I brought up a few. I brought up a few in the pregame show. One that I want to bring up is the NBA starts this season, and I got to thinking about the Los Angeles Lakers and this LeBron James thing they got going on and the Lonzo Ball guy that they just drafted a year ago. And I started realizing something, that LeBron is probably one of the greatest point guards of all time. LeBron is amazing with the ball in his hands, and he usually likes...
I'm glad we're recording this. You don't usually give LeBron props.
Yeah, you guys just think I'm a hater just because I'm honest about LeBron.
You're a hater.
And I'm being honest about LeBron right now. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time, even though he's not a point guard. He's a point forward. He's great with the ball in his hands, and when the game is on the line, he wants the ball in his hands. He likes to see the floor. He likes to work with it. He likes to know, okay, well, can I just drive to the hoop? Do I want to pass it off so somebody can set me up for a layup? Like, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to drive the lane and then dump it out to a guy on the three-point line and let him score a three like he did with Kyrie a lot of times? What do I want to do with it? And it got me thinking about Lonzo Ball and what Lonzo's strength is. And that is what Lonzo's strength is just running point. The guy can't shoot. He doesn't really create his own shot. He is kind of useless if he's not running the point. So what are they going to do with Lonzo Ball, do you think, Loudbeard? Is he useless on the floor when they go with LeBron running the point?
This is a good question because I'm really curious to see how these Lakers are going to mesh together, because there's another guy that runs the point that you didn't even mention about that's on the Lakers. Wow, still talking about John Gruden. Can't get him off my mind.
Can't get him off my mind.
There's another guy, and that would be Rajon Rondo. These are guys, both Rajon Rondo and Lonzo Ball, that are guys that need to have the ball in their hand to make things happen. And it is going to be an interesting mix to see what happens with these guys, because then you add in the third element of it, which is what you're bringing up, and that is that LeBron James is also extremely effective with the ball in his hand. So you need to have the ball in one of these guys' hands. And I would say it's by default going to have to be LeBron, because LeBron is the greatest player on the planet. So you're not going to want to take the ball out of his hand. So then you're going to say, well, what are we going to use Lonzo Ball and Rajon Rondo for? And, it's not going to be in his hand every play. So you're going to see the ball in the hands of these other guys quite a bit. But in scenarios where you're just like, LeBron, take over the game, you handle it, you figure it out, you move forward, and these other guys have to fall into place, Rondo and Ball are not great shooters, so you're not going to just rely on them to step in and help your team out with shooting. I mean, Rondo's known as being an assist guy. He's been an assist guy his whole career. He's the one that helped kind of lead that Celtics team with a bunch of superstars around him, and he does elevate the play of other players. But if he doesn't have the ball in his hand and LeBron has the ball in his hand, it could be a different story. Now, I do think that with LeBron getting a little bit older, I don't think he needs to be the one carrying the ball most of the time. I think it does need to be these other guys. But I'm with you, man. I think this isn't playing to the strengths of the other players, to how this team is set up. So Luke Walton has a huge task ahead of him to try to see how these pieces will fit together. And I'm curious to see how it works. Not just the first 5 or 10 games. Like, I want to see how it works the entire season and see if he's able to get some of these other players to work along with LeBron and bring this together. I don't know if you saw this or not, but there was an interview recently with Rajon Rondo, and he said he wants to be the first player to bring a championship to both Boston and then L.A. He wants to be the first guy to do that. Now, that's a pretty bold statement, figuring that the Golden State Warriors are in the West. And I don't think anybody's getting through Golden State. Maybe Houston, but definitely not L.A. But I guess with the confidence of having LeBron on your team, you're going to say crazy things like that. So I'm with you, Chris America. I don't know how this is going to work, but I don't think it's going to look good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think 90% of the games, you're going to have Rondo or Lonzo running the point. I think once we get past maybe March, maybe even earlier that, depending on what the Lakers' record is when you're going to start seeing LeBron run the point more times than not, because that's when it's crunch time. That's when it's going to be, okay, we need to either solidify our playoff position within the top 3 or 4 in the West, or I will not be surprised if the Lakers need to solidify. We're 8th or 7th, and we want to elevate ourselves up to 5 or 4. Whatever it is, I believe in March, maybe even as early as February, depending on what their record is, you'll see LeBron just saying, okay, I need the ball now. Like you mentioned, he's a little bit older. He's not going to want to run the point all season long, all 82 games. He'll take those, November. Now that we're starting in October, we start tonight, actually. He's going to take October, November, December, January, and maybe even February off as running the point. But when it's go time, when it's crunch time, that's who's going to have the ball in his hands. When it's 2 minutes down and the Lakers are down by 5, it's not going to be Lonzo Ball with the ball in his hands. It's going to be LeBron James. The question is where's Lonzo and Rondo fit in those situations? And if they're not on the court, who do the Lakers have that can run that shooting guard spot, that he can dump out to every once in a while when he decides, okay, they clogged up the lane, I'm not able to drive it, so I need to get rid of the ball? Who's going to be that guy to step up like LeBron has had with Allen and, God, I can't think of his name, over at Miami, Dwayne Wade, or like he had with Kyrie and Kevin Love? There aren't those shooters like he's had in previous super teams or whatever his previous teams were.
Well, I mean, Kyrie's a good example of another player that does well with the ball in his hand, can drive, and I think LeBron and him worked well together. So maybe they can make it work. But I'm with you that there's not a lot of great shooters on this LA team. Well, I mean, who's going to be shooting the ball? It's not going to be Lonzo, and it's not going to be Rajon Rondo. It's not going to be JaVale McGee. I mean, I guess I'd have to look at the rest of the roster, but there's not any big names that I'm thinking of that are just, I guess, sharpshooters. And maybe that's what they're missing. Or maybe there's a guy on there that I just don't realize. I mean, maybe they brought back Jimmer Fredette or something. I don't know.
Well, like I said, you mentioned about the Tuesdays Blues, and you mentioned that we have baseball, but we also do have exciting NBA basketball. Week 1, night 1, Philadelphia and Boston, Oklahoma City and Golden State. The NBA knows how to open up a season, do they not?
Yeah, NBA does it good, man. They open the season up right. They also do that with, like, the Christmas games. They know who the headlines are. They know who the fans want to see. They always put those games in the spotlight. The only challenge I've ever had with the NBA is that all the good West Coast games are always on super late, which is good for
Oklahoma City versus Golden State at 10:30 tonight?
Yes. Like, I will probably already be in bed asleep by the time that game starts. I'm an old man. I get up early to do a sports radio show. I just do not have the endurance like I used to have when I was 20.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Said. I'll probably watch up until the end of the baseball game tonight, and that'll be it. But Philadelphia, Boston, Oklahoma City, Golden State, you mentioned that they do it right. I think the other advantage that the NBA has that maybe the NFL doesn't, it's easy to predict as to who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. It's easy to put teams and matchups in December knowing that, okay, I feel pretty confident that Oklahoma City, Boston, Golden State, Philadelphia, LA, those are going to be teams that fans will want to see. It's not going to be like who's a team. Like last year, everybody was high on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tons of people picked the Buccaneers to win out and win the Super Bowl or at least be a solid playoff team. And if the NFL looked at that and said, okay, well, everybody loves the Bucs, let's just throw the Buccaneers on a whole bunch of Monday night games and Thursday night games. Let's make them our feature team, one of our feature teams. The NFL would have been highly disappointed with that decision. But you can look at Philadelphia, and unless they go through a rash of injuries, Philadelphia is going to be a solid playoff team this year.
Oh, yeah, big time. And, you know, the teams that were good last year, as long as they didn't lose any superstars, they're going to be good this year.
You mean like Cleveland?
Yeah. So because it is a superstar-centric league, you're going to see that. Houston's going to be good. Golden State's going to be good. Boston's going to be good. Philly's going to be good. You know which teams are going to be good. They're going to be the ones getting in the spotlight. And you're right, man. That's definitely a good schedule to have there for the NBA. It's easier for them. And you're right. The parity, unfortunately, there isn't as much parity in the NBA. The teams that do not have the superstars, like our Orlando Magic, you know that unless the Magic get some sort of lucky break, I mean, there's no chance that they're going to be in the conversation of winning the championship this year. I mean, there's just no way because there's just – and I mean, it's sad as a fan going into the season thinking your team's basically already out of the playoffs, and we might get lucky and squeeze in like a 7th or 8th seed. And unless something crazy happens like, you know, Victor Oladipo going to the Pacers last year, I don't think anybody thought he would be the superstar that he was, and he carried that team. If maybe our draft pick Mo Bamba comes in and becomes the next coming of Shaq, well, maybe then we have a chance. But the odds of that are so slim, and even then, it's still you're going to be maybe go up to a 4th seed in the playoffs and get knocked out in the second round. I mean, that's like best case scenario.
Yeah, my best case scenario hope for the Orlando Magic is we have a gentleman's sweep in the first round of the playoffs. That I think is the best, the top echelon that we could hope for as Orlando Magic fans, and even that seems
high hopes. We've got
even that seems like a very, very, very unlikely case that we would be able to go in and get a gentleman's sweep in the first round of the playoffs.
I like your expectations. They're set into a very nice spot there. Man, I'm glad NBA's back, though. I love the NBA. I know NHL's is coming on hot, too, and I like watching hockey, but I have a special place in my heart for the NBA. I think it's watching Michael Jordan in the 90s that just solidified it for me. I just always loved watching the NBA, and I still do. So tonight's a big night for me. I'm excited for it. And just knowing that the season is back. Yeah, it's a long season. Yeah, it's gonna go have its ebbs and flows. But I'm ready to see some real regular season NBA action. I'm ready for it, Chris America.
So, Loudbeard, with these two matchups tonight, Philadelphia, Boston, Oklahoma City, Golden State, what do you think real fast before we go off the air? What do you think are the chances are that this is our Final Four, that this is the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals?
I would say on the East, it's probably a pretty good chance. Philly, Boston, with the exception of Toronto, I would say that they are they're probably the top 3 teams if you look at Toronto, Philly, and Boston. So if Philly and Boston squeeze in there, I would not be surprised. I would have to say Oklahoma's got a pretty high hill to climb to get themselves into the finals. But, of course, Golden State's going to be there. I mean, if they got knocked out early, I think everybody would be shocked. So I would like to see Golden State in there. I mean, it's probably going to be a replay of last year with Houston in it, but OKC's in that conversation. When you have the talents of Paul George and Russell Westbrook, you are in that conversation. So the chances there are a little bit less, but it could happen, man.
Yep, and the only thing Boston is just hoping is that none of their superstars obliterate their ankle within the first 3 minutes of the game. I think that's the best hope that Boston has.
At least it's hope. All right, guys, it's been a great show. We love being on the air every day, Monday through Friday, weekdays, 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. We are the Scout Team. He's the great Chris America, and I am the other guy. They call me Loudbeard. Have a wonderful day.
Come on, man. Give yourself more credit. You're the great, loudest Loudbeard of them all, and I'm glad to see that you brought up Houston as one of your contenders. I'm glad you've forgiven them for the whole beard thing.
No, it still hurts, man. I'm still mad at James Harden. I took him off my Christmas list. Always.
He's out of your Fab Five.
He's out of my Fab Five, big time.